Oh, hi, I'm Asia Ray Coleman. Welcome to Powerhouse Conversations. Our topic for today is why talented actors stay invisible and what actually changes that. So, before we get into anything tactical today, I really want to pause and say this really clearly. If you've ever thought, I've done everything right and nothing is working, this conversation is for you. I have met so many actors who are so talented. I work with them in acting class all the time. They are just as good, if not better, than the actors who we see working all the time, and they're not getting any traction in their careers, and they do not understand why. So we're going to address that today. And I don't mean to say any of this in like a motivational rah-rah way, blowing smoke up your you-know-what way. I mean this in a diagnostic way, because the actors who feel the most stuck are very often the actors who've actually done the most. They've done the most training, they've done the most classes, they've upgraded their materials, they submit all the time, they show up, they're professionals, they're being really patient, they're doing all of that. So if that's you, I want you to just hear this at the top. This is not a conversation about trying harder. That's not what I'm going to be sharing with you today. And it's also not a conversation about giving up. It's about understanding what's actually happening and making sure that the effort that you're putting in is actually yielding results for you. Because if I sit here and yell at you, just keep going, just keep doing it, yelling that at a stalled car doesn't fix the engine. We have to actually go in and figure out what's up and fix it. We have to do a diagnostic. We have to do all the stuff that car mechanics do. And then it's fixed, and then it runs again. Powerhouse Conversation exists. These live streams exist to help actors understand why they are stuck, not just cheer them on while they stay there. Not just tell you, keep going, keep at it. The time for that is done. We don't have time for that anymore. Okay? So another thing that I want to name up front, this is not a space for panic or comparison spirals or self-judgment. If you're familiar with my content, you know that I am not about that. It's also not a space for vague inspiration. We're going to talk about the system. We're going to talk about how the industry actually works and how actors get themselves sorted out inside it. So my goal is to make sure that you don't leave this conversation overwhelmed, but rather feeling really clear. Because clarity does something that motivation really can't, and that is it gives you leverage. It gives you real leverage to understand what your next steps are. All right, so I want to start by just describing something that that I've seen, and I want you to notice if it feels familiar to you. You wake up and you already feel tired. You submit, you do a tape that came in that day, you train, you know you're improving, but the response doesn't change. Your self-tapes might be good, sometimes very good, and still you hear nothing. Or maybe you are getting auditions, but you're not getting the right ones. You're not getting ones that are actually exciting to you. You're not moving forward at all. Maybe you're repped, but nothing meaningful is moving. And you feel like, why do I even have reps if I'm not getting access to the kinds of roles that I really want to be going out for? And at some point, the question stops being, well, what should I do next? And becomes, what the heck is wrong with me? What is going on? That question is very heavy. And it's also very dangerous. Okay, because it turns what is really a structural issue into a personal issue. And that's not right. So let me say this really clearly. Invisibility is not the same as failure. And most importantly, invisibility is not a verdict on your talent. It's not a verdict on the potential that you have. It's just an indication of what's going on right now. Okay. So let's talk about what the real problem is, right? This is the part that no one really explains to us as actors. The industry doesn't experience you the way you experience yourself, right? We bring into the table industry guests, and we talk to casting directors, we talk to casting executives, we talk to producers and showrunners and people who are creating content. And, casting offices are not just sitting around asking who worked the hardest or who trained the longest. They are filtering constantly. They're triaging all these submissions. They are sorting, they're categorizing, they're moving really fast. And that means the first question is not, are they talented? Most of the people they're seeing are talented. Like, there's a plethora of talented actors out there. The first question is usually, do I understand where this person fits? Right? So this is what I mean when I say signals. Your materials, your, the video clips that you have, your choices, your energy, they're all sending information. And if that information is inconsistent or unclear or generic or just kind of like blah, no one's going to pause to investigate and find out more. No one has time for that, unfortunately. And it's no one's fault, right? That's just the way our system is set up now. It just moves on. It's like, okay, that's a good actor. And it just moves on. It's not personal at all. It's triage. And it doesn't mean that they're never going to see you again either. You haven't done anything wrong. You just haven't done anything right necessarily. So this is really where a lot of actors get tripped up. They assume that their talent speaks for themselves. They assume that if they do a good job on a self-tape enough times, they're going to get cast. And talent doesn't speak loud enough. We also need our signals to match. You can be deeply talented and still unreadable. You can give a great performance and still not have it quite register, right? You can be really capable of booking and still not be placeable. And I'm not talking about just some vague branding of oh, you can play nurses really well. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real clarity. And it's not about shrinking yourself. It's about becoming really visible and really legible, really readable. So now I want to talk about the hustle myth, because sometimes when people hear me say this, they think, oh, well, okay, well, I can fix this. I'm going to go work with a branding expert, and I'm going to shoot new headshots, and I'm going to get clips filmed that match my essence or my vibe or my brand or whatever. Here's the trap. When actors don't understand why they're invisible, they just default to volume. I'm going to fix these things. I'm going to take more headshots. I'm going to take more classes. I'm going to tweak this clip. I'm going to do more submissions. I'm going to do more upgrades. I'm going to, and on and on and on. But if the underlying signal is unclear, doing more doesn't really fix it. It just amplifies the confusion, and it makes you really tired, waste your money, and burns you out. So doing more from the same position only makes the problem worse from so many different angles. This is why so many actors feel exhausted and like they're doing so much work, but they're still not effective. They are moving, they are trying, they are very committed, but they're just aimed slightly wrong. Okay. So this is the reframe I want to take with you. You have not been rejected. Let that land. You've not been rejected. You've just been misread. That's all. And we can fix that. Okay. If you've been feeling like you've been getting crickets from the industry, whether that's casting directors, whether that's reps, whatever, don't interpret their silence as judgment. Interpret it as just like confusion. Confusion doesn't get corrected by effort. It gets corrected by clarity. So when casting doesn't know where to place you, they don't place you. That's just how it is. That's what we would do if we were in that position. We would just be like, oh, okay. This seemed good, but I don't know. And move on. So what actually changes this? Not having more motivation, not manifesting your dream role, not being patient and waiting for the right opportunity. It's diagnosis. Understanding how you're being read, where the signal is breaking down, what categories you're currently landing in, and whether you chose it or not, you're landing in some categories or a category. And again, I'm not talking about branding fluff. I'm talking about strategy. And the important part is that it's learnable. It's totally learnable. And nothing about this requires you to become someone else. It requires you to get more clarity on who you actually are. And that's the beautiful part. It's going to make it more easy for you to book roles that are right for you. So it just makes everything so much easier, which is amazing. So I want to give you a few questions to sit with. And if you have a moment to grab a journal or do this along with me, do this reflection along with me, that would be ideal. And you don't need answers right now, but I just want you to notice, if the industry had to describe you in one sentence, what would it say? If the industry had to describe you in one sentence, what do you think it would say? The next question I want you to sit with is, where might people be confused about me? Where might people be confused about me? Question number 3. When people look at my materials, what do they immediately understand and what don't they? When people look at my materials, what do people immediately understand and what don't they? And the last question is, where have I been trying to compensate with effort instead of clarity? Where have you been working hard and just hoping that that fixes everything? So I want to make sure that you have the space to ask questions, Wherever you're watching this stream, please go ahead and engage in the comments. I'll take a look and either answer now, or if you're watching the replay, I'll be sure to go in and answer. But, what questions do you have about this need for clarity in your positioning? And now, if there's one thing I want to leave you with tonight, or depending on when you're watching this, I want you to know that you're not stuck because you're failing. You're stuck because something hasn't been clearly named yet. And once something is named, it can be changed. So next time we're going to talk about, and that's going to happen next week, the specific thing that most actors are missing and why this phenomenon of doing more is only making it worse. Okay, for now, I just want you to think about the ways that you can get more clarity. Okay. So thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to really reflect on these questions. And I look forward to chatting with you next week. Because if you are stuck, it's usually not your talent. It's not that you need to be a better actor, usually, right? I'm really trusting here that you are continuing to develop your craft, that you are at a place where you're ready to work. You're at least ready to do supporting roles on television and streaming. Okay? Honestly, that doesn't take that much. So once you've hit that threshold, we need to talk about something a little bit different. We need to go deeper. Okay? So we'll talk about that next week. What it means when you feel stuck. Okay? Thanks so much. I'll see you then. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not.